Welcome to Camera Ready and Abel, the podcast that explores the intersection of media change and personal growth. I'm your host, Barbara Barna Abel, and my calling is to help you tap into your superpowers to thrive on camera and in life, and to make an impact on the world. This episode is brought to you by the phrase, work ethic is a superpower. According to Merriam-Webster, work ethic is a belief in work as a moral good. A good work ethic in the Camera Ready and Able universe translates to the ability to prioritize tasks, meet deadlines, show up on time, be professional, be a good colleague, be collaborative, and get things done in order to move forward. Here to discuss is Buki Elegbede, who is an award-winning host, producer, and content creator who has produced content for the likes of Health Magazine, ABC, ESPN, Create TV, PBS, Nat Geo, and Disney, and has produced and hosted docuseries, talk shows, panel shows, and live events, and currently is the host and executive producer of Table for All, now in its second season, a joyful cinematic documentary series focusing on culture and diversity through the food lens in his home state of New Jersey. Welcome to the podcast, Buki.
Thank you, Barbara. Appreciate it.
Oh, well, I appreciate you. And I want to get into, work ethic, but I also want to say that your smile is a superpower. If we could deal with the climate crisis and energy, if we could just bottle your smile. So I hope that everyone will get a chance to watch.
It's actually really funny. I actually don't like my smile. But I do. I don't know. It's weird. I've never been a smiley person, or like anytime someone says smile with your teeth, I'm like, please don't make me smile with my teeth. But I guess you have to catch me at the right time. I don't know.
Well, for anyone listening, I just want to tell you also, Buki, you're a natural smizer.
Well, yes, I do. I can give you a smize, that's for sure.
Your face lights up, your eyes are smiling. That's a gift in its own right. But I wanted to ask you, and one of the reasons I was so excited to have you on the podcast is right there in your Instagram bio. It says, work ethic is my superpower.
That's right.
I'd like to dive in, explain, how did you get to that? And you lead with it. So I'd love to know more.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I think just growing up, I grew up in a Nigerian household, and that my parents were not about like the foolery. It was, and you worked for your supper. There was no, Buki, what do you want for dinner? It was get your butt in the kitchen and let's cook this food. And so, and and everyone who grew up with parents of immigrants knows that you learn this from them, because it's hard to start your life over again. And I saw my parents work 1, 2, 3 jobs, day shift, night shift, over like everything. So for me, I always knew that, I was never going to be the prettiest. That was just not going to happen, especially in like America's standard of beauty. I am not a 6'2" gorgeous white man, so that's not happening. I don't have, feminine beauty to rely on. So I had to find another way, and that way was work ethic. And for me, I've always enjoyed working. I loved collaborating with people, even in jobs I didn't even like. I enjoyed going to, because that for me was, listen, I can't do anything else but that. That's my superpower. You can put me and Usain Bolt on a treadmill, and one of two things is going to happen. Either we're both going to die or Hussein's going to lose, because it's just who I am at my core. So I just love to work. And it's killed me in the personal life department. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But for me, work ethic is just, it's the baseline. I know a lot of people say work smarter, not harder, but I really do feel like there's no replacement for hard work. You can't get anywhere, whether you want to be an actor, a singer, a host, a dancer, even a doctor, for crying out loud. Like there's no getting around hard work, period.
When did you realize that working hard propelled you forward? I'm presuming like you're in school, maybe. Or when did you realize that it got you something that you wanted, and perhaps also, recognition and validation?
I think, yeah. When I was younger in school, again, I wasn't Allison Senick, hated her guts. She was the smartest girl in class. She always got straight A's, hated her forever. But, I have to give her credit. She pushed me too, to really work hard and to really get the gratification of seeing those A's, those A's. We love A pluses. Like I'm still that like 10-year-old kid that loves A pluses. So I think then, and seeing the response when you did do a good job and you did go above and beyond, and oh wow, like Buki, you did such a great job. You're amazing. You're this, you're that. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a glory hog. I love me some accolades. I'm not gonna lie. So, I mean, again, I'm not gonna get it from the beauty, so I'm gonna get it from hard work. So if I want my accolades, I gotta work hard. But yeah, I think, yeah, growing up in school, I remember the science fair, staying up, literally making my whole family stay up the entire night to help me create like these menageries of like planets and dinosaurs. And my dad, who is an incredible drawer, he literally should have been a cartoonist if in another life. I would make him like create this incredible like drawings on the boards and the this and the that, like always won like best in show, best design, always. And it was a group effort because I made it a group effort. But yeah, all started when I was younger, and it was just required from my parents. Like there was no sit around every summer, every weekend. My mom would say, "So what did you accomplish today?" And there was no sitting around watching television. It was you get your butt up and you do something, and that's where I learned it.
Wow. And so this is still propelling you today, correct?
Still today, and especially in this business, yes.
Is there ever a time really when you stopped and then said, "Oh shoot, if I'd worked harder," or have you never slacked?
I mean, I'm sure I've slacked, but I think for me more so is not trusting myself and my gut. I've had
Mm.
I've had so many moments that I try not to look back because it's just not productive, and you'll just wind up in the Ben and Jerry's container if you start looking back. But I look back and I think, man, if I just trusted my intuition, if I just listened to my gut, if I just didn't go that way, things might have been different. I mean, it's even for the shows I've produced, it's like, man, why didn't I just listen to myself? And it's like, and again, and that's another part to it. Like working hard is great, but it is true that you do have to work a little smart, trust your gut to really make it. So I have a lot of those. Like I don't think I've ever really slacked off. I mean, of course, there are days that I'm like, I just can't do it. So but that's what I said. I'm scheduling a rest day. That's what we call it. When you want to slack off, you schedule a rest day. And
That
then
is
you
working smart though.
I guess so. And it's a way to not beat yourself up by saying, "Oh my God, I'm slacking by watching Netflix." No, you're scheduling a time to recoup and to recharge those batteries.
Well, for the
Uh,
record, Buki, I consider watching Netflix doing industry research.
well, for you, that is industry research. It's all a part of what you do as the incredible, I don't know, entity that is Barbara.
But
Um,
same for you though, as a content creator, you have to be studying what's out there. And
oh
you
yeah,
also see how others create and produce, and you might be inspired by how something was edited or the way a story was told, or that
absolutely.
it freshens your brain or gets you to see things in a different way. So now I do want to talk about Table for All, because I am so impressed with what you've achieved, because you have a fully blossoming creative business, and the fact that you've done it, like you made it happen. So I'd love for you to fill in the blanks, like how you got there, because it's not easy to do and to accomplish what you've done, but you've done it. And I think it's not luck. We've already established, it's the point of this episode. Nothing is lucky. You have always, always put the work in. And so I think it's a really wonderful sort of fun fact that in 2017, you were the grand prize winner of the American Public Television Create Cooking Challenge.
Yes, I
So where
was.
does that fit into the narrative? Did you always know like the end goal is I want to create a show like Table for All, or has this sort of evolved as you went?
I think it's always evolving. I don't think sticking to one particular dream will really get you there, especially when it comes to our ever-changing business of
Mm.
television and entertainment. So for me, the end goal has always been the Buki Show 2025, check your local listings, national daytime talk show, baby. But, with streamers dominating and everything like that, does it really make sense to have a daytime talk show on a broadcast network when everyone's cutting the cord? Who knows? So for me, it's ever changing. The goal for me was always to get on air, tell good stories, and my life mantra is I want everyone to win because as gorgeous and fantastic as this world may be, especially in the lens of Instagram, it is very hard. It is very trying and it is very unfair, oftentimes, to the people who don't deserve it. So I really want everyone to win. Even if I don't like you, just go win across the street. Just don't win next to me. But I do want you to win. So I've always been led by that. So whether it's a cooking tip, a skincare tip, or a story from, an immigrant family, if that inspires you to get up and go, to change your outlook on life, to do something you never thought you wanted to do before, then that's what I wanted to be a part of. So that, I guess, for all intents and purposes, that big goal is still the driving force. But how this show came about was I did win the Crate Cooking Challenge, which actually was the catalyst for this. Randomly, which is very unmillennial of me, I was watching regular television and the commercials were coming on, and I haven't watched a commercial in forever. And all of a sudden, I heard while I was watching Martha Bakes, "Oh, do you want your own cooking show?" And I was like, "Wait a minute, I do want my own cooking show." Do you want to be on television? Why, yes, I do want to be on television. And they were like, so apply to be for this create cooking, whatever. So I did it. I shot it in my tiny studio apartment, little kitchen. I made chocolate whoopie pies with whipped cream frosting, still delicious till this day. And then I submitted, and then I heard nothing. And at that point, I was working behind the scenes for CBS, and I was in my office randomly at like 4 o'clock on a Tuesday, and I get an email from Create TV saying congratulations. And I completely forgot about it. I was like, what's this congratulations about? Is this spam? And no, I won the Create Cooking Challenge. It was actually the first thing I've ever really won in my life, actually. I don't play the lottery. I've never really been in raffles. So that was the first thing I won. It was fantastic. I met everyone from America's Public Television, including their president and CEO, who unfortunately is retiring this year, Cynthia Fetterman. And we got to work and we made this, I think it was 8 episode digital cooking series that was also on air. And it was a great experience because it was my first intro into self-producing, really gathering the elements, putting a team together, and for this goal of making the show because they just gave you a little bit of a grand prize and some equipment. But I already know from television that that's not going to make a great show for you. So it
What
was
does
really
make a great show for you? This is a great story. It's like, what did you learn from this, and what makes a great show in your opinion?
Lord have mercy, so much. I think the biggest thing is your team. I don't have any hubris or ego. I just have a nice personality. I know that's what I bring to the table, but I cannot do 95% of the things that these people can do, from camera work to audio editing. And like, as someone who has worked the camera, has edited, it's always good to have those little things in your toolbox. So I feel like it's always good, especially for me. I've worked behind the scenes, in front of the camera, all over the place. So I pretty much know everyone's job, which I think is very helpful. Do I want to do everyone's job? Absolutely not. but it's great to have, okay, I can edit, throw it in your toolbox. Oh, I can work some lighting, put it in your toolbox. Just so when things come about, first, when people are not doing what they're supposed to be doing because you already know how it's supposed to be done. And two, these are times where you have to do multiple things. Like they're gone are the good old 1990s days where there were like 100 people on set. Now it's like 25 and people are doing like 4 jobs each. So it's good to know everything like that. So even for lighting, like I lit this place up. This place is a cave. This place is lit up right now, because I learned that from actually working on the show What Not to Wear back in the day. So yeah, so I won the Korea Cooking Challenge. It was wonderful. We made the episodes, and yeah, teamwork, 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 teamwork. That's all you need. If you can put a great team together, you can go to the stratosphere. That's the biggest thing I learned from that. And preparation, and preparation, and preparation. That's it. Those,
Okay,
those are
I
the two
so
biggies.
appreciate you're saying that too, because one of my isms is winners don't wing it, and a lot of people come in on the media training and media coaching side, always saying like, I'm so much better when I'm off the cuff and I wing it. I'm like, that's a myth. It's just your own perception. But to your point, I'm in the you can never be over prepared club. Even if
Never.
that thing you may never say it, you may never do it, but it gives you confidence. It means you're just storing things in your toolbox or the closet should you need it. Should we ever
That's
need
right.
it? That resource is
Did
there.
you ever need it? Yeah. And
Okay.
it's so funny that you say that because I feel like going back to what your client just said, I feel like you're better off the cuff once you're prepared.
Oh, Buki, say it again. I used to joke about even when my kids were little, my husband's very spontaneous. And I was like the super preparer, meaning, but I would have, kind of a diaper bag version of a go bag ready because that allowed us to be spontaneous. I just kept it packed
Yep.
so that when he was like, hey, the weather's great, let's go drive upstate to da da, I'm like, we can do that.
We
Why?
can.
Because we're
prepared.
prepared.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Oh, but now I want to get like, this has become serious. It's like, this is really exciting. You're energized. You created and produced something. You're feeling really proud. You're like, wow, I'm doing what I love. It comes out. And this happens for everybody. It doesn't matter how famous or not. And then it's like, and then what?
And
And did you
then
go through the
what?
then what phase?
Absolutely. I mean, I think everyone who gets, and I know you've talked about it because I feel like I've heard this on one of your episodes because I do listen, FYI.
Oh,
Um,
thank you, Buki.
I do listen. I don't remember who it was, but there is no big break. Like it's just a series of steps. No step is getting you to the top. But as we all think, once you get there, you get this one break and you're like, this is it. The floodgates are gonna open. ABC's gonna call me tomorrow. This is it. And it's not. And it's not. And Halle Berry, I heard an interview with her and they asked her, is it harder to break in or is it harder to stay in? And she said, every day is a struggle. And I was like, truer words were never spoken. Even today, I mean, I'm still auditioning, I'm still writing my emails, I'm still placing phone calls, I'm still talking to my reps because the work doesn't stop. You just have to do it. But yes, as soon as that happened and it came out, everyone loved it, and I'm thinking, okay, why isn't the phone ringing? Like, what is going on? I've proved myself. Where is the call? And the call never came. And that's when I had to tap into my superpower and start getting to work, start, reaching out and seeing what else can be done. Can I do, like, I was on the horn with Cray TV almost every week. Like, you guys need like some interstitials. You need me to do a live event, like whatever you need, I'm here. But yeah, so it's definitely a hard pill to swallow once you've given something your all and still no call comes. But as we just said, everything you do is a step in the right direction. It's all going down that yellow brick road of blessings. And one day we will all make it to Oz. But until then, you gotta keep laying those bricks.
Wow, what's your version of Oz? How will you know when you got there?
I don't, I am a very, 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 very big dreamer. Oz looks like my own private jet. It looks like my own brand's production company, major things that it's going to take me a while to get there. But that's the best part about it. It's like, it's all about the climb. It's like, as long as you're going towards that goal, you're gonna make it. Cause I mean, there's no other choice. I mean, there's only so much you can climb. So it's just so interesting how people think that it's like one thing, but it's so much more than that. And I feel like as soon as you get to your dream, which happens faster than you think, because technically my dream was to get on television. I already did that. So you always have to, I think that's also a good thing too. Just keep dreaming, keep visualizing what else can be done, what more. And I mean, I'm a religious person, so I do believe that God can dream a bigger dream than you can. So just dream as big as you can and watch it soar.
I want to also point out, and I love this because it's the whole point of the episode, is that in your Oz, you're still working.
Oh yeah.
The work never said that it brings you joy. There's no like, I'm working to get to the point where I no longer have to work. You're like, I'm always working. I will always be creating.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, maybe it's I guess maybe it's the how I grew up, but and also maybe because I'm like scared to death of dementia and Alzheimer's, but I just want to stay sharp forever. I just want to be sound mind, sound body. And a big part of that is, working towards whatever it is. I mean, it doesn't have to be a 9 to 5, but whether it's, a charity, whether it's, working for, I don't know, X, Y, and Z.
But when you're having your production company, that you're working it.
That's right. That's right. Like we just wanna, we just want to do good work and make an impact. And I never plan to ever retire. But who knows?
That's so fun.
Never
I'll
say
be in the
never.
Not Retiring With You Club. But now I want to just take a sec though to think about. So we got from the, Create TV. How did you get, what are the steps that got you to Table for All?
Okay. So yeah, so Create TV laid the groundwork because so I was actually feeling, this is my scheduled break. I was feeling a little burned out. I was working at CBS for 5 years. I said, okay, this is not getting me towards the Oprah Buki Show 2025 goal, so it's time to go. It gave me 5 years of blessings and a killer paycheck, thank you, Lord, and traveling all over the country. But I left there and then kind of started over again. And I said, let me do a little foray into news really quick. So I was working in news, and then I took a job for NJPBS, and it was like a associate producer role, and the woman was like, you're overqualified for this, right? And I was like, yeah, but I need a break. I need to I need to gather my thoughts for the next round, for the next push. So I got that job and I'm in there working, and I was there for about a year, and I was like, I think I would be really good as a reporter here. And at that point, people were dropping like flies. And I was like, okay, well, if they're in need of people, I am on air. I do this all the time. At this point, I was doing it for about 7 years. So I was like, okay, I think I can like do a little something. I mean, it's not hard. I can totally do it. And so I go to the news director and I say, listen, I do on air stuff all the time. I can send you a reel. I do more so host sort of things, but we can definitely put on a little news voice for you, and give you some news reports. And I was met with crickets. So 6 months later, I, revisit the conversation. Hey, I would love to be on air. I think I could really be great, giving reports and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, sure. We'll think about that. All right. Well, listen, you don't have to tell me twice. I already know what that means. So I was like, okay, well, my favorite quote is from Milton Berle: "When opportunity doesn't knock, build your own door." So I decided to build my own door. And the good news is that America's Public Television is basically a cousin of NJPBS. So and they're all under the WNET umbrella. So everyone knows everyone. So people knew me when I was at NJPBS that I didn't even know about, but they just knew because they saw my name on the email list. So I started making pitch decks, and I started reaching out to the people at WNET, the people at APT, pitch decking. Like when I tell you, I went through about 140 versions of a pitch deck for various shows that I was just thinking about. And I was just pitching to everyone who would listen. And I started gaining some traction, like, oh, this is interesting. Okay, cool. This is interesting. But really it was just like, okay, this is interesting. The key is that our general manager of the whole station left and a new one was coming in. And as we all know, with people that are coming in, they want to make a splash. They want to make a big name for themselves. So as soon as he came in, I sent an email. Hey, I'm Buki. I work as a producer here, but I've been doing this, and that. I would love to, chat with you and welcome you to the team. And he emails me back and he was like, "Oh, I already know who you are." And I was like, "Whoa, you already know who I am. Who told you?" And he was like, "Oh, everyone's been talking about you and the show these shows you have brewing. Would love to talk to you about it." So I met with him. He goes through the list. He was like, "Oh, I like this." He was like, I like the food stuff." And he was really into High on the Hog on Netflix. And I was like, "Well, I can give you a High on the Hog. I can do that for you." I think like a few months later, they greenlit the show and we started, and then the real work began.
Okay, I want to pick up on this for anybody listening, because it's my favorite thing to do is connect these dots. I heard so much amazing stuff in there. One, you're an idea machine. And you
Yes.
also, you're a phenomenal listener, because I think every time people said, yes, no, maybe we kind of like, you went for the note. You separated your ego or like any sense of rejection and said, because stuff can sting, right? But you'd like pick myself up and go, what was valuable in that note? What can I take from the feedback that I got to keep making this better? You kept
Yes.
doing it. You keep staying in there. And then when you're in the meeting, that must have been such an incredible feeling too. It's like your head is reeling like, is it good? Is it bad? He knows who I am. Oh gosh. But it's amazing. And then he says hi on the hog. You're like, I can do that. You listened.
Oh yeah. And I think I think you hit it right there, nail on the head. There is no space for ego. I don't know how people do it. I do not have I think I always joke that for Christmas I'm gonna ask Santa for audacity, because I just don't have it. And I wish I had more of it, but I think it served me well because I just when you have ego, you have blinders on, like you can't see it. And so I really do try to take and listen to everyone's feedback. Some people aren't qualified to give you advice and feedback, which we all know those people. And so, you listen, you nod and smile, and you put their notes to the side. And then for the people who are like, they have your best interest at heart, then So even with all the rounds of revisions, I was working with our chief programming officer. I was working with like people in HR, like, okay, what do you think about this? Well, okay, we'll change this up. We don't like that. And I'm like, oh, listen, because at the end of the day, do you want to be right or do you want to win? That's the question. Do you want to be right or do you want to win? I want to win. So I will put my ego aside and do whatever needs to be done to make sure that we're winning. But yeah, it's like that. I think that's really the key, just to keep going. I mean, everyone in this business knows it's 99.9% of rejection, and it's just what it is. So if you don't like being told no, I don't know. I don't know if this is the right place for you. But someone will say yes, and when they say yes, it outweighs any no you ever heard. I'll tell you.
So how did you get to Table for All? Meaning it strikes me as a deeply personal concept. I'm just meant in terms of creatively getting from this thing that means so much to you and then delivering on what you knew the direction or what your boss was looking for. So I'm just curious, like how creatively, how you melded. I mean, you told me about like talking to everyone, and I love the idea that you even went to HR, which on the creative side is not everyone's first approach. So I thought that's probably genius somehow. But you know what I mean? It's like, what does this mean to you? Because it's a deeply personal lens for you.
Yeah, I mean, I have to give our GM Jolie credit because he really just said, go, run with it. do whatever you think is right. And I really appreciate that because I know that will probably never, ever, ever happen again. But so I think when I was thinking about this whole thing, we are in such divisive times, and I know I'm a person of color, and I feel like a lot of people think that they can't be biased, but that's not the truth. But I really don't have a bias bone in my body. I have so many friends of different faiths, religions, even eating habits. So many vegans out here. Um, and I just love people. I always wanted to be that Carrie Bradshaw with like 4 friends and 6 friends and all these friends around, and everyone's different and everyone has something to contribute and something of value that we all can learn from. And so when we hit like 2020, 2021, when anti-Semitic attacks were up, anti-Asian attacks were up, even violence against Black people were up. I'm like, what is going on over here? This is crazy. And I'm like, what? I just, and for me, I literally hurts my brain to think about it because I just don't understand where it comes from, because I've never been someone to look at someone and say, you're less than me or you're not worthy because of how you look or even how you dress or how you sound. So the thing I thought was interesting, and actually no one knows this is the Barbara Barner Abel exclusive, is that so I I know a few people that are teetering on the prejudice line, and they're Caucasian, and they say some not so HR worthy things. Let's just say that. And so one day they're like, "Oh my God, we have to get this Mexican place. It's the best." Blah, 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 blah. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, weren't you just talking about this border crisis and how we don't want them coming into our country? What is going on here? And the idea sort of clicked. It's that we may not understand everyone. I may not understand your beliefs. I may not understand your culture. I may not understand your traditions, but I understand that your food is so good that it erases all preconceived notions. So that's where the whole thing came from, really, that we can understand food is, I really say it's a culture show. People want to call it a food show. It's a culture show. And the way I get you is through food. So by cooking these things, getting into kitchens that we all know about, we all have been in the kitchen, we all have eaten different foods. And really learning about a person through that food is how I wanted to really structure it, because perfect example, in Italy, we call it a zeppoli, but in Nigeria, we call it puff puff. It's fried dough. We all have it. In Mexico, they call it a churro. We all have our different versions. So we're really not so different after all. We're one people, we're one race, the human race. And if we all just take some time to listen and understand, then we all be better off for it. So that's what I hope we're driving home in the show. That's what I hope we're doing in the show. But that's the driving force behind it.
Like, what's next for you in terms of like the next step or the next iteration or table for all? Is what table do you want to get to?
Whew. Oh, that's a hard question. Like we said in the beginning, the work doesn't stop. So, I'm still doing my auditions. I'm still working on this and that, working on different ideas, having calls with different producers to see what we can possibly do together. Because at the end of the day, we wanna win. So
I gotta tell you, the winning is in the doing, and you are winning. And I will include all the links in the show notes. Thank you so much. This was really fun. And just, I go back to what I said in the beginning, your smile, your radiance, that's, along with your work ethic, is truly a superpower. And I want to thank you for listening to Camera Ready and Able. If you're looking for help strategizing your career and tapping into your greatness, please shoot me a note via my website, abelintermedia.com, and be sure to download my free ebook, 12 Tips for Success on Camera. And as always, be sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already.